What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It is time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarich. And holy crap, what an episode of Agatha All Along. What an ending to the episode. To help me break it down, I got my co-host for these Agatha shows, as per usual, host of the Comic Corner pod, Damon Gray. How are you doing, Damon?
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
And helping us out today as well from TheDirect.com, from podcasts like The Controller Club, as well as The Reckless Rebellion. We got friend of the pod and multi-time guest, Klein Felt. How you doing, Klein?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling good. After you asked me to come on, I was excited. And then getting to come on to talk about an episode like this, I'm thrilled. I can't wait.
Here's my question to you both. We'll still keep it spoiler free at the beginning just to kind of, build the anticipation. But do we want to go kind of in chronological order and talk about the episode as it moves on? Or should we just kind of start with the ending and talk about how they close this episode out first? What do you think? Anyone? Ideas? Somebody say something.
Let's do chronological.
Chronological?
Yeah, I guess wait. You don't want to eat your dessert first.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Sometimes we do want to eat the dessert first because it's delicious and you don't want to fill up on something that's not as tasty, but it's fine. It's fine. We got lots of time. We'll go to it in chronological order. If you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for joining us live, or even if you're watching us after the fact, smash that like button, hit the notification bell, and make sure you subscribe to the Agents of Fandom on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We're breaking down each episode of Agatha live, and then we also have podcasts right now for The Penguin. We got after shows for, we had it for Lord of the Rings, so if you haven't caught up with the Rings of Power yet, we got breakdowns for each of those episodes, as well as the Comic Corner dropping each and every week. Yeah, Ava in chat, I know you're a dessert person too. You're my partner. We live together. We have a baby together. That's why I thought of it, because I know you like your dessert first. I was defending your honor against our fellow Canadian Klein. But let's talk about kind of our general thoughts before we go into the episode. Klein, we haven't talked about Agatha All Along together yet. What have been your thoughts on the series through 5 episodes?
I've been actually really quite thrilled with Agatha so far. As we led up to the series itself, I was kind of thinking, I don't know if this is going to be for me. I wasn't getting super excited, but as we kind of inched closer and the months became weeks and the weeks became days and then the days became mere hours, I was pumped for that first episode. I was really excited, even though this isn't necessarily the corner of the Marvel universe that I am super tuned into. And I've been pleasantly surprised all the way through so far. Every episode has left me going, man, I can't wait for next week. And I've said it a few different places, but I'll say it again here. I think that this is the most Marvel TV feeling Marvel TV show that we've gotten in the Disney Plus era. And I think it's better for that. It doesn't feel like a movie that's been chopped up into these weird, makeshift episodes, weird makeshift chapters. It genuinely feels like it's using the medium for the things that make TV a great medium compared to film. And I'm really liking it. So this episode was no exception. I really dug it.
I couldn't agree more. And we're going to skip I like to keep what you're watching for the regular podcasts, not the live shows, because the people came here to hear us talk about Agatha, But there is so much incredible television going on right now. I do want to know, people in chat, or if you're watching this not live, let us know in the comment section. What have you been watching right now? What have you been prioritizing? Because we have Agatha All Along. We have Rings of Power just ended. Only Murders in the Building. The Penguin. So much incredible television dropping each week right now. So let me know what you're watching and now in chats, what you've been prioritizing. Damon, spoiler-free thoughts. What did you think of episode 5 of Agatha All Along?
It's fun. It's fun television. And I think they make good with the budget that they
thought you were going to just say that. I thought you were going to cut it off right there. I thought you were just going to be
you
fun.
want me to? It was
and then,
fun.
no, I don't want you
Put
to,
but
you just left me hanging earlier in the pod and I have PTSD. And so I was genuinely worried. What were your thoughts? Oh, it was good. Continue.
Spoiler free, baby. Spoiler free. I did my job. Yeah, no, it's a fun show. And I think everyone's putting on a great performance. And the spooky parts that are spooky, I've been enjoying. We got a lot of good spook at the beginning of this episode. That was probably like out of everything that came from this episode, the beginning when we got a little bit of the spook, we got that Salem 7 with isn't too much of a spoiler when it comes to the content of it all, but they brought some good stuff and I liked it and I want more of it. That's what I like about this show.
Emma brought up the soundtrack in chat, and she says the soundtrack has been eating. My goodness,
We'll get
the
there.
needle drop
We'll get there,
at the
Emma.
end of
We'll
this
get there. We don't need to talk
episode.
about it right now.
Ooh. Oh, give me my dessert, Klein. Let me have it first.
No,
My
you
goodness,
gotta
the
eat.
end of
You
this
gotta
episode.
wait,
wait,
the
man.
carrots,
Good
they're all sitting there. You gotta get
gravy.
through the veggies, and then we can eat the chocolate cake at the end. It's fine.
Eat your rice first, my guy.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I
Good for
found
you.
it very interesting how the recap for the episode included the WandaVision stuff. We got
Yes.
how Agatha killed her entire coven there, and we get confirmation that the Salem Seven is in fact the children of the coven that Agatha's former cousin that she took out. Chad is getting me mad for not eating my meat and my veggies and my rice before my dessert, and it's fine. When look, the episode was really good. It was really good. Anyways, you guys, you can't get me off my train of thought like this. Damon, we had speculated earlier when we were very much aboard the Rio Vidal as Blackheart train, since Blackheart has the power to change into different animals, that it could have been Rio spying on Agatha throughout the series, but we got confirmation here it was the Salem Seven creeping up on her, giving her the EBGBs when all those different animals were looking at her, and they are on their tails here as well. Klein, feel free to touch on that backstory if you want, but I feel like it was pretty straightforward, pretty expected. But I thought the play on what they did with the brooms in this episode was absolutely hilarious.
It was awesome. I loved the conversation, the dialogue that we get between kind of the entire coven, and you can see that like Joe Locke's teen he's all hunky dory. He's like, I finally get to do the witch thing, and they're all like, come on, like this is cultural misappropriation. What are we doing? We don't actually do this. I think that the actual broom sequence in and of itself, when they get up in the air and they do the ET shot, everything after that, I'm like, okay, this is the first time that I'm seeing the budget a little bit, but I wasn't too upset by that. I think that this was fun. They got their silly witch moment. We got a Rio Vidal cackle, which I very much enjoyed. They're just like, they're having so much fun, not just in this sequence, but across the series. You can tell that everyone who was involved in this was just like laughing their heads off the entire time they were doing it, just enjoying, just having a blast. And I think it really shows.
I couldn't agree more. There was some stuff that came out this past week about how Catherine Hahn was saying in an interview that her and Aubrey basically just tried to, stay away from each other because they already knew that they'd have the chemistry like ready to go. So it would help build up the tension if they didn't really hang out until they were on scenes. And so I thought that like you can see it in the episode, the chemistry is incredible. You can tell they've worked together for a long time. Damon, what did you think of the broom backstory? And we see some clear like longing between Agatha and Aubrey while they're on the brooms, and I want to know their full story so damn bad, because at every possible turn Rio Vidal switches from let's slit her throat to don't you dare get her name out your damn mouth. And so what do you think of the broom backstory, and then lead me into that as well.
Hey man, like they said last episode, I don't know if I want her number or run away from her. Like I don't know if I'm scared of her, or if I just want to talk to her, man. That's what's going on with Rio. That's what it's the fun thing about her. Yeah, the room stuff was fun.
You're in the
That's-
middle.
that's-
You're in the middle of a room, of a corridor, if you will.
Mhm.
On one side is Rio Vidal.
Okay.
The other side is Sophia Falcone.
Oh, good God.
Oh, wow.
Which side? Which way are you going? Which way are you going?
Why must you make these?
Yeah, is it bad
Which
that
way are you going?
I'm more scared of the one who doesn't have magic?
There,
I
you're
don't know.
partnered for life
Oh,
with the other one.
goodness.
Take that for what you will. Does that mean romantically? Does it mean in crime? Whatever you want. You are partnered for life. Aubrey Plaza, Rio Vidal, or Sophia Falcone, Damon.
Sophia Falcone.
Klein?
I think I don't know. As I said, I'm less scared of the one with the magical powers almost, because Sophia Falcone's scary. Like, she's genuinely frightening. Rio Vidal's scary in the way that it's like, I think it'd be a lot more fun. I would fear for my life, I think, a little bit less, but there's always that chance that you're gonna wake up like missing a couple fingers or like tied up or something like that.
I don't even really want to give my answer because so much of what I want to base it on is the next episode of the Penguin episode 4, which
Oh,
is an
don't do
absolute
this.
banger of an episode. They literally keep getting better each and every week. My reviews for Agatha All Along, the Penguin, and Only Murders of the Building you can find up on agentsofandom.com right now, and I'll have a new one for the Penguin dropping as well as soon as episode 4 drops, so make sure you check that out. But coming back, I accidentally exited Klein from the screen as I was trying to stop my screen share. I genuinely don't know which I would choose, but I think Nate Shelton helped me out in track. Stay on the road, TJ. Get back on track. I appreciate that because I need that sometimes. I think I would go with Sophia, but it's I don't know. It's a tough choice. 51, 40%, 49%. We get back to the road, the witch's road, if you will, and the Salem Seven are attacking the group. Teen's already dealt with them, and they look like they're gonna get him, but the Wu saves him. Alice Wu, she comes up clutch, and that's pretty a constant throughout this episode. And I think, we'll get to it, but I feel like they were making her incredibly lovable for a very specific reason.
Can I bring something up real quick?
Absolutely.
This is a pretty quick sequence with the Salem Seven. But something I wanted to bring up because I know we love our little WandaVision kind of connections. And if you remember, TJ, what was one of the 15,000 things in WandaVision that we all thought was Mephisto for a hot second? Do you remember?
I mean, I'm sure
it's
I
one of
do, but you have to
15,000
narrow it down.
Do you remember in Agatha's house, I think it was like in the Modern Family version, you saw the little cicada on the window at one point? We saw the cicada. And for a hot minute, people thought it was Mephisto. Well, one of these Salem Seven members, the animal she turns into, is a cicada. So maybe it was her all along, keeping an eye on Agatha the whole time.
Very interesting. I like that. That's not something, you got some eagle eyes for that one because I had not even considered that. You got me off the road. You have to get me back onto it, Damon.
So the trial starts.
Take me into the first trial because we kind of get our first mini confirmation that Teen is someone specific by the way that he's dressed.
Teen is something specific by the way he's dressed. As we like to call him, the world's worst secret. He is dressed with a headband and almost dressed like a certain someone from a certain Halloween episode from a certain WandaVision episode.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'm like, where are you taking this? I missed that. I completely missed that.
Dressed exactly like Wiccan, looking just like Billy Maximoff did in that WandaVision episode for Halloween. And we get the 80s, kind of 90s sleepover vibe. I didn't expect this to be Agatha's trial right off the bat. I thought we were going to have Rio's next. Maybe Rio's not even going to be getting a trial based on how this episode went. But Klein, did that kind of take you off guard, learning that this was going to be Agatha's episode? Basically, this was one of the first episodes that I went, oh, the whole time. Like, each thing that happened was a shock for me.
Yeah, I think that it was a bit of a surprise that we got Agatha's thing because I don't know, just somebody who has consumed a lot of media and studies it and does all that. Like, you save the protagonist thing for like the very end. It's a tale as old as time. And so the fact that we kind of got it here, I have a feeling that after these last few episodes, it has been very much like we have something happen, trial, it ends. It's been a little formulaic in that. I think we are about to break from that formula. There will be more trials. or not, that it will not be, I think, as specific as we have gotten them up to this point. It'll be more like, whoa, I didn't realize that was a trial, but when you look back on it, oh, that makes sense. So I'm kind of glad that we got it here. We got a lot in this episode that I wasn't expecting to get right here. So that's very exciting, but I dug it. I love this like jumping between motifs that this show has been doing, similar to the way WandaVision did it, I think on a bit more of a grand scale with the different themed episodes. But I was worried when we got pulled out of that HBO detective show at the beginning of the series, we weren't going to dip in and out of like weird different narrative milieus like we are. And the fact that we've gotten a little more of them, that it's a lot of fun. I loved last week with the 70s kind of Fleetwood Mac looking rock and roll stuff. This to me is like, as somebody who loves 80s coming of age movies, like I was all over this. The leg warmers, the hair done up, like it was all very good. It made the sequence where Agatha gets possessed and runs at teen even more terrifying, because she was doing it with like an updo and this like big football shirt that I don't know, there's something really like off-putting about that, but I dug it and it was quite surprising.
I have a very special guest that I want to bring in here, actually. But before I do that, I want to shout out all the new viewers we have with us, because we have so many names in the chat that I can tell are first or second time viewers. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Help us build this community. Help us grow. Smash the like button. It helps us battle the YouTube algorithm. Help us more people find us so we can build this conversation, build our community, and really make this a fun place for the chat for these shows. So hit that like button. It is really, really appreciated. I do have a special guest that I want to bring in, though, and that is the moon expert,
Oh my God.
Damon Gray. Damon, so I want you to put on your moon hat that you when you became an expert last week for episode 4, because the blood moon marked Agatha's trial, which, based on what they were saying about how it's so close between life and death, I did think this was going to maybe be somebody else's trial, but it's Agatha's. It's a blood moon. What can you tell me about a blood moon expert, Damon?
Well, blood moons were not covered in my course last week, TJ, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Useless.
I know.
The
I'm sorry.
lunar
I'm a big
luminary
failure.
letting us down.
The lunar luminary. I'm so upset I didn't think of that. That's fantastic.
My 25-minute moon breakdown after the end of last episode was telling me this was going to be a full moon episode, and that is not what this was.
Well, a
Incredibly
blood moon
disappointing.
is a full moon. It is just a full moon that I think is getting like light reflected on it weird by the sun, and that's what makes it red.
Mm-hmm.
We could easily look it up right now, but I think it's so much more fun if we don't. And then we just continue to speculate.
My
Right,
experience
yes.
with blood moons comes like specifically from the Legend of Zelda franchise. So you know what? I'm no expert here.
Why are you a Legend of Zelda expert? Quick Controller Club plug.
Well, because I host a video game podcast each and every week called Controller Club. You can get it podcast services everywhere and now on YouTube.
There it is. All right, back on the road, back on the Witch's Road, TJ. We got the trial beginning, and I'll skirt past it a little bit because I want to not be the one to spoil things for the lucky people who have avoided the Funko spoilers and things like that. But there are, when you know who some of these or a specific character is, there are so many teases of it throughout this episode. But when they get to the Ouija board, first thing that Agatha does is she pretends to be Mrs. Hart. The first clear giveaway that it's fake, of course, is that this is Sharon. This is not Mrs. Hart. That was just her name inside the hex. And Agatha could never remember her actual name. But Damon, that was a pretty darn good Deborah Jo Rupp impression.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. You know, when you have Catherine Hahn on set, Catherine Hahn is able to do some amazing things. And this is one of those amazing things that she's able to do. And this is why she's great. And it was hilarious.
Nate Shelton in chat says the blood moon's color symbolizes life, blood, death, and rebirth. In witchcraft, this ties to themes of personal transformation, banishing negativity, and bringing about significant change. So while I think that transformation, that positive change, didn't necessarily happen for Agatha within the trial, but I think as long as, she isn't actually dead, which we'll get to later, I think this would be a good first trigger for that to start happening. But Klein, same thing to you. What do you think of the Deborah Jo Rupp impression from Catherine Hahn?
It was perfect. I think that getting Catherine Hahn in a series like this and in the Marvel universe, some people might not have a ton of experience with her and might not exactly know 100% where she comes from, but like this is somebody that wasn't necessarily on Saturday Night Live, but like came up through that same sort of like ecosystem and is a comedian at heart and she can do these transformations, like she can do these impersonations and stuff like that. So it was pretty good. She had one line where it was like she talked, the chills and thrills, and I was like, that's such a such a Mrs. Hart thing to say. And I thought it was real for a second. I was like, oh, and then they point out the Mrs. Hart thing. You're like, oh, that I guess not. But Mr. Shart, not here today.
Yeah, not Mr. Shart, not Mrs. Hart. If you were watching this with subtitles on, it was very hard to not read it as Mr. Shart because it put the M and the R up first, and then it goes Shart after. And so you feel so stupid when they go, oh, Mrs. Hart, and you're like, oh, duh, of course. But Klein, when we get to the actual trial, it's revealed that the person behind the Ouija wants to punish Agatha. Death is there in the room, and it is Evanora Harkness, Agatha's mom, who this is one of the most interesting parts I thought was like, all these people are like, how can you defend her? And like, Agatha's like terrified. And Rio is so damn concerned and so willing to be like, oh no, fuck her mom at every turn. I think we're only allowed one F-bomb to keep monetization fully on for ads on our live show. So everybody else, be on your best behavior because I am the one who accidentally let one slip. So, Klein, what did you think of the trial itself? This is when the episode really gets spooky.
This was like, they have done such a great job of balancing the genuine spooks. As somebody who is not like, I don't like to be scared all that much. Or I don't actively seek it out. It seems that every time I watch something that's spooky, I'm like, oh, I kind of like that feeling, but I'm too much of a like scaredy cat to actively go and see a lot of that sort of stuff. So they've snuck some things in here that are genuinely terrifying. And there's like this sequence here where they're playing with the Ouija board. I don't mess with Ouija boards. That's just like, that's a me thing. Do not like that one bit. Just freaks me right out. I get that it's your friends pulling your hands around, but I don't like that. So that was strike one. And then her like getting possessed by mom and then doing the crab walk. I looked away. I was like, I had my Miles Morales blanket up by my eyes. It was like, this is maybe a little bit too much for me, but I'm in. I like that they aren't afraid to go there a little bit with this, and it isn't just like ooh, it's spooky. Like there is some like genuine scares, and it doesn't last too long. And they make a joke of it very quickly. Like, mom comes out, mom, you're embarrassing me in front of my friends. What a fun line. Like, it's just like they immediately alleviate the tension with stuff like that. So it was freaky though. I will see her face, Catherine Hahn's weird, pale, veiny face in my head for a long time.
Yeah, it's the contortions.
Her up on the roof, they looked up and she's just like there. Just like, I don't like that one bit. No, thank you.
Damon, I know you want more of the spooky, so feel free to touch on the horror elements, but there was one very specific part of this trial that I know you're excited about because it really gave some potential confirmation for a theory that you've been cooking up.
I have been cooking up a theory. I'm always cooking up theories. I like theories. Theories are fun. Theories are what make these shows fun. First of all, the spooky stuff. Give me more of it. Give me more crab walking on a ceiling. Give me more weird contortions with the body.
Too, like as she goes back, her body like snaps and
so good. So good. Give me all of that. I want more. The weird, almost like the ghost face, nearly sort of replicating what Agatha almost looks like in the comics in her old lady form. Solid. More of that. All of that. I want every single little bit of it. But for the first time in the MCU, we just got something, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty sure, unless we got something, at least in this context of it. Ghosts are now officially Marvel canon. Ooh. So yeah, I've been cooking up a little bit of a theory, and I asked some folks on the interwebs whether they think Agatha Harkness will make it to the end of this series. Will she live by the end? And most people say yes, and I think she'll stick around, but she won't be alive because in this book right here, that majority of this show is based off of, through
What
99%
book for those
of
who are
it.
watching, who are
Oh,
listening in
this is
podcast form?
Scarlet Witch, The Witch's Road by James Robinson. Fantastic book. Fantastic book. Go read it. Agatha Harkness helps Wanda go through The Witch's Road, but through the entire time, she is a ghost. So, what if in this show, by the end of it, we almost flip the roles? By the end, Agatha becomes a ghost. Ghosts
I
are
like
now
it.
MCU canon, and then by the end, more importantly, now I can have Bats the Ghost Dog with Doctor Strange. Win-win for everybody.
Great point from Alexander Hernandez in chat. There was definitely some points from Lilia's earlier divination that came up in this episode. Try to save Agatha. Alice, don't! The two things she screamed out in the recruitment episode in episode 2 that very likely came from this specific episode. It was... I want somebody else to talk about... I'll touch on it more, but I'm so interested in the backstory of what happened with Rio and Agatha. There's been internet people saying like, "Oh, they were totally married. They were totally married." I'm so interested to get an episode of how they know each other, what their history together has been, because it's such a big switch up from Rio's character when there are things involving Agatha's mom. She's like she can't be held liable for any of this stuff. Her mom was trying to kill her. We can't let her mom have her. Like when she thinks it's just about punishing Agatha, killing her, she's all about it. She is all about slitting her throat, like she says. But when it switches to leaving her with her mom, she says, "No, absolutely not. We cannot do that. Can't leave her with her mom." Klein, what do you think? How involved and when in their history were these two involved together for her to directly know, like, this is what her mom did? It doesn't seem like she just heard this story from Agatha. It seems like firsthand experience based on how much it emotionally triggers her.
I think that we will get what you want. I think there will be some great grand backstory that we get. Maybe not a full flashback episode, but like we'll get interstitials here and there. And I think it ultimately dates back to when everything went down with Agatha, when she killed the witches, basically the scene we got in the recap beforehand, which I totally forgot was in WandaVision and was sitting there going, did I miss an episode? But I was losing it a bit. I think that it does go back to that Salem time. And I think that what we will learn is that Agatha didn't necessarily, I think she killed the Coven. I think she did that. I have a feeling it was perhaps incited by something that Rio either wanted done or needed done. And Agatha was like taking the fall for that. And that's how she gets strung up there. And that's when things kind of break apart because she's like, whoa, you left me hanging there. What's going on? And that sort of thing.
We have so many wonderful, excellent questions in chat that I want to touch on, but they are all kind of in reference to right at the end of the episode. So I'll get to that, especially I think to Klein's point here, where a lot of the questions are about, hey, can Agatha not control her powers? Because that is something that comes up at the end. But I think it also, what adds credence to that theory is when her saying, to Billy, I couldn't control it. Why I think there might be some truth to that is because Agatha's mom here says, like, you've been evil since birth. Like, I should have killed you as soon as you came out of me. What would she mean by that? How can a little baby be evil if they were not potentially absorbing the powers of others and killing them uncontrollably from the moment that they stepped onto the earth? So that's something we'll touch on more in a little bit. Damon, what do you think about the tension, the chemistry between Rio and Agatha here? How far does their relationship date back? And do you think that'll be a full episode in itself?
It should be. It should be a full episode in itself. Yeah,
Could be
Full
a full
TV show.
series.
Agatha season
Yeah.
2.
yeah,
Yeah,
the whole,
just
the
those
whole
two in like medieval times, even.
Yeah, I mean the whole series, the tension between the two has been excellent. So this episode is no exception to that. Yeah, if we do get some sort of background between them, like we want more of it. Like I think a lot of people are a little upset that this episode is only 25 minutes, so we won't have another whole lot of time if we do get a whole episode with that. So yeah, if we do get more, I hope we get more.
Credit to we won't spend much time on this at all because I think, like Klein said earlier, this series, and compared to a lot of other Marvel television shows, has been really great TV. Like not just content, a movie split in pieces, but television. And Jac Schaeffer and the creators of this are absolutely incredible. But I will still continue to die on the hill of Disney, Marvel Studios. You need to make these series longer, if not 9 episodes of hour-long television. Then it's got to be 13 to 23 episodes of 30-minute television. But again, we won't harp on that. That's just one man's opinion of how they could really, really make these series pretty epic. I think the dynamic of when Evanora, Agatha's mom, gives them the choice of like, leave her behind, finish the road without her. That's the trial. How they all react to it is super telling. And it's kind of the focal point for what set off the fight that ends the episode here. And that's Jen is very much like, hey, screw, I almost dropped the second F-bomb, but I held it back. Screw Agatha. We need to get her out. We need to get this witch out of here. Leave her behind. Let's finish the road. Think of all the terrible things she's done. Rio says, that wasn't her fault. Immediately switching things up. Teen and Alice are very much trying to keep the peace. Lilia is struggling with the memories of already seeing this once and then having to go through it once again as Agatha bounces in and out of demon mode. And eventually Alice goes to help. She uses her magic and Agatha sucks it all up, eventually killing Alice Wu. Unexpected. Klein, I know you and I both did not see this coming. Do you think she's gone for good? And second question, was it on purpose, or could Agatha not control her powers?
One, I think that it is for good. I think we don't get last week's episode if it isn't like if she is just going to come back. Last week really felt like of all the characters we've gotten so far, she got a full like arc over these first few episodes. And if we don't see her again, I'm not going to be like all that disappointed. So I think that she's gone. Second, I have a feeling that I don't know if Agatha can't control her powers or she's almost like, I want to liken it to almost like addicted to it. Like she gets that taste of it again and then slips right back in. And I guess that would be like a lack of control, but I think she can turn it off. I think she could like bring that dial back with the right kind of rehabilitation or like conversations happening amongst the group. So I'm not exactly sure like it's some crazy force that she can't 100% control, but like it's more that like she gets that taste once again and just slips right back into something she's so used to.
David, what do you think?
I think someone was being controlled. I think somebody was being controlled there, whether it was one parties, whether it was two parties. I think someone was controlling someone in there, someone in this group who is clearly able to control people.
It was the ghost dog.
We'll get to that in 15 seconds because it's an upcoming scene.
You think he set that off and he made one of them?
I think he set that off, and that's how Agatha was able to realize who he is.
It was the aerospace engineer from WandaVision.
I think Teen was the one who kind of set that off in the end because he needs Agatha to go down the road for whatever reason. And that was the only way to do it. And that's how Agatha was able to figure out who he is.
Wow, that is very interesting because that was one of the next questions in chat. How did Agatha know Billy's true identity? Teen is pissed, right? When he's still in teen mode. And he is saying, like, how could you do this, Agatha? How could you kill her? She was trying to save you. And she flips the script. She flips the script immediately. She goes from, I couldn't control it, to an evil smile. And she says, she knows exactly who he is. He reminds her of his mother. And she fully realizes that this is very likely Billy Kaplan / Maximoff, aka Wiccan. How does she know? And I think Damon's theory is a perfect way to figure that out. Is this was the one controlling her? He was the one making that happen the whole time. Klein, what do you think?
I think Damon just convinced me, like, to be completely honest. That was I can see that. I think I actually would like to go back and look at her eyes and see if there's anything funky going on there, because I wasn't looking for that then, but that would make a lot of sense. It would add a lot of interesting depth to his character. Right now, all we've seen is like very happy-go-lucky, very I'm excited to be here. But does he have some sort of agenda? He has an agenda, but how willing is he to cross lines to accomplish that? And I think that would be a very fascinating thing for the rest of this series to kind of look at. He's not going to be the villain, but like, how can we make him almost more of an antagonistic force amongst this group of people? And that would be something. Like, that would be a way to do it.
When he switches things up and starts taking his anger out on Agatha and throws her off of the road, so the road sucks her up, just like it did Sharon, aka Miss Hart, in the first episode. When that happens, I kind of thought, like, wow, is she now going to become a ghost and Damon's theory is going to come true, and Teen / Billy is going to be the protagonist for the rest of this series? And then he throws the rest of them in as well. He throws the other two into off the road, and Jen and Lilia both get sucked up. Weirdly enough, Rio Vidal wasn't there. Now, again, because we have so many new viewers today, I'll put a kind of notice for those who have seen the Funko spoilers. Let's not reveal those in chat. Let's try and keep those who are unspoiled. And so those who saw the names of certain characters, let's avoid talking about that in chat going forward here. But Rio Vidal was noticeably absent when Billy is taking these down, and we get the coolest character unveiling I have seen in a while, with the hands starting to spark, then Teen becoming Billy, becoming full-on Wiccan. I want to talk about that crown, because that was essentially Wanda's crown, but it was nice and silver like Billy's.
It's a
Do you think
whipple,
that's just going to
sir.
be?
A
Do you think
whipple.
that's just going to be Wiccan's Whipple, but in the MCU it's modeled after his mom's?
Yeah.
Damon, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's not exact one for one. It's fairly close, and it represents a lot of the crowns that you may have seen if you remember in that little Agatha getting her powers up on the stake, that when her mom was brushing her and all of them, they all kind of like had that little crown. That's just kind of like the witch's crown, the crown of magic. Yeah, I think that's just his whipple.
Klein, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that this is it. It obviously will take some inspiration from Mom, but just judging from the way that the MCU has kind of like production designed the way witches look in this world, it does fit into that as well. It is just kind of this like very, very similar look to what we've gotten so far, but it is very distinctly him. I like that we didn't see all of it. I like that it's like it does cut. I want to know how big, like, are we talking, does he have the big, like his mom does in the comics, the huge pointed like horns? What are we looking at? Is it, I almost thought it looked kind of Loki-y a little bit, like it had a little bit of Sylvie energy to it. But I think he looks so good. I wasn't 100% sure what was happening, or I don't know. I was just kind of shocked that it was happening when it was happening. So when he started sparking, I was like, cool. He's figured out magic, and that's all we're going to get here. But the fact that we end the way that we do, and the Billie Eilish song just like hits, and it's one of the great MCU reveals. Like, this is truly like, whether Wiccan goes on to have a 20-year career in this franchise, just like this specific moment, like the energy. I said it after I finished the episode. I got up and like walked on over to my spouse here, and I was like, this show, they're acting like they know they have the stuff, and they're just like throwing it around. And I love that. Like, they are so confident, and they know that they've got the juice. And so they can pack a moment in like this, and it feels earned, and it feels like it like genuinely hits hard. And I think that's awesome that they are just like working on this other level of just like passion and enthusiasm for the thing that they're doing. He looks great. He looks fantastic. I can't wait to see more.
We need to shout out to our friends from and Klein's coworkers from TheDirect.com, because on the Direct podcast, I remember specifically them doing a best needle drops in the MCU draft, and that was one of them for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That was absolutely incredible when that episode ended. I want longer episodes, but I was still not mad when it ended, because wow, was it a great ending. And I think we have to take a minute to appreciate Jac Schaeffer and the entire team behind Agatha All Along, because they just took a reveal that we all knew was coming. Unless you have never picked up a comic book and you completely stay off the internet, you have like absolutely never. We all knew who this is coming, and who was it? It was, this is going to be Billy. This is going to be Wiccan, the son of Wanda, the son of the Scarlet Witch, one of the young Avengers. And they still gave an absolutely incredible reveal. It was still a reveal that we were all like, oh shit, this is one of the highlights of the series so far. That is so impressive to do when we knew it was coming. We didn't know it was coming this early and that the series would really flip on its head, but we knew that it was coming. One part that we actually kind of forgot to talk about, so I'll backpedal a little bit, is the reason Wanda stopped absorbing all of Alice's energy,
or Agatha. The reason Agatha stops.
Agatha stops. There's so many names, so many witches. The reason that Agatha stops is because either Teen summons him, or he summons himself on the Ouija board, and Nicholas Scratch, Agatha's son, who very much sounds like a dead baby, like a dead little kid. Not baby, but like if these are deceased that they're calling on the Ouija board, that didn't sound like that was someone who grew up to be an adult. It sounds like a little kid. Damon, what do you think happened in that situation? Is that one of the things that you think that was just Wiccan messing with her mind, like Agatha does in Age of Ultron? Or was Nicholas Scratch called? Do you think Nicholas Scratch will be someone we see in this series?
Yes. Yes, I do think Nicholas Scratch will be someone we will see in this series. And personally, I would love for it to be the imagery of, you have the baby arms on the hands type of thing. That's something I really want. That's something I really, really want. And I think that would be like a really cool, like, magic giveth, magic taketh away type of moment. Shout out to that West Coast Avengers cover for that. I think we'll see Nicholas Scratch.
Klein, how about you? Version. Do you think he's going to be appearing in this series as just, someone we see in Agatha's visions, or as a major player with, ties to Mephisto, things like that?
I think that I think he will continue to be a crucial part of the series. I think he will have a presence. Whether I think he will actually take a corporeal form, like actually appear in a body, I don't think that will happen. I do believe we are headed in some way, in some form, because we know that Mephisto's coming in the MCU. it's happening.
Yeah, baby.
He will be here. I know that he's supposed to have been here for a very long time, according to the internet, but he's actually coming. There is casting out there if you want to go looking for it. So we have to lay those seeds here. So I don't think we get Nicholas Scratch as Nicholas Scratch. I do have a feeling that he is in some form Mephisto, and that is kind of where the series is going.
I could see that as well. I don't necessarily think there's going to be a physical one, but I think he's going to be playing a pretty role going forward because Agatha can't be dead, right? There's more people asking about that in chat as well. How are they going to, how and or will they undo what just happened at the end here? Is Agatha dead? Is Jen dead? Is Lilia dead? Klein, you're smirking. How do you think?
Can I spin you a bit of a yarn?
I would be upset if you didn't.
Here, this is a theory. This is jazz right now because I literally, as you were talking, I'm like, the wheels are turning, the gears are grinding. I think the next couple of episodes, they will be quote unquote dead. They are in some sort of spiritual plane. And you want to know who else is dead? Wanda Maximoff. You want to know who could potentially help them get out of this spiritual plane? Wanda Maximoff.
Damon, tell Klein you're against it. Tell Klein while he's wrong. Let me moderate this debate.
I don't think he's necessarily wrong. I will say this for anyone who may be a little annoyed or worried that the series has gone repetitive with it's like, oh, we're getting to another escape room episode. Oh, we're getting into another escape room episode. I'll say this, now that we're here now after the end of this episode, I think we're done with Trials. And if that's the case, hell yes. Because now we're getting into like almost a new arc, essentially. And that is very exciting. What Klein is thinking about right now...
That is very television.
It is very television. What Klein is thinking about right now could have some potential, and I think we may be getting closer, maybe not towards Wanda showing up, but they did talk about the Divine Mother, which is kind of a character, kind of a being that we've seen in this book that I mentioned before, right behind me, Scarlet Witch, The Witch's Road by James Robinson, where Agatha, Wanda, and Wanda's ghostly mother go in and try to save magic, and they find out that essentially this version of the Divine Mother is under attack. So they may be into that spiritual plane at that point. I think that is a possibility, and they almost have to solve things from there. Well, I do not think we will see Wanda Maximoff in this show unless we get a post-credit scene. I do not think we will see Elizabeth Olsen's face. If we do get a Wanda Maximoff, it will not be Elizabeth Olsen. I think it would be potentially her younger actress. That played
there
her...
was a set photo of her actress with what weren't they? Wasn't it a young Lilia?
I don't know if it was a set photo or not. I just
not a set photo. Just like the actress was like young Agatha and young Wanda and young Lilia hanging out, and so it very much just could have been there is a flashback with Lilia, and that kid was invited to set.
So I do not think we will see her unless it's a very end post-credit scene. Sorry, everyone, if you're expecting it, but the show.
The credits end. What's going to happen? Here's what's going to happen. The credits are going to end. It'll come up. It'll pan up towards Westview. It'll be the house in front of the Vision house or whatever, and there'll just be a red crown laying. Like it'll just like pop in a frame through some magical red smoke.
Look,
That'll be it.
I'm still sticking with my theory where this whole show is gonna go, and by the end, yes, the Scarlet Witch will be resurrected. Wanda Maximoff will be resurrected, but she will A, either have no idea who she is, or B, is out hiding somewhere. I'm leaning with more that has no idea who she is, and then the show eventually does lead into Young Avengers Children's Crusade, which is all the kids trying to find Wanda Maximoff, who at that time was marrying Doctor Doom. Will she marry Doctor Doom in the MCU? Probably not, because because that would be a little weird. But you know who we could put in that role instead? Hey, that's Mephisto, ladies and gentlemen. And then we kind of have the whole Young Avengers / Scarlet Witch saga be all tied to Mephisto in the end. So hey, everybody who was really thinking about Mephisto back in 2021, you did it. You were well ahead of yourselves. I do think that is a possibility.
What I want to know is how Billy is here. Like, I want that information. How is this Billy in this place at this age when Billy,
Klein,
as we know, never really existed?
What saga are we in right now, Klein?
Oh, you're right.
We are in the oh wow, I can't, I didn't have the same, I didn't have it ready to go like I did in the previous episode.
The magical conscious swapping
magical consciousness transfer saga. That's the saga that we're in, Klein.
Definitely not.
My long-term theory with my long-term Wanda theory is, and I think if she does show up in this, it'll just be like the quickest like flash reveal at the end. My theory that is when we get to, you know, Avengers Doom movie and Avengers Secret Wars, I think the heroes are going to kind of all fall. Most of the main ones, most of the main Avengers, maybe not die like Infinity War, but, you know, lose. And they're going to clue in, hey, the only way we could beat Doom is we need Wanda. And that's when we get this children's crusade. That's when we get the young Avengers going to bring back Wanda Maximoff while all the rest of the Avengers are dealing with Doom. That's kind of my theory here. But another question from the chat that we had, and Damien, I'll throw it to you first so that you got the pen up. You look like you had some. Do you think Billy has known about these powers the entire time that he has had, and that was just great acting with, oh no, I lost my spell book? Or do you think that was the anger, the emotion of Alice dying that triggered all of it?
No, he knew. I've been saying he made a deal with the devil to get to this point so he can go find a version of his mom who's alive. I've been on this train. I'm not getting off until I'm proven wrong. He knows what he's doing. I think he's working with you know, Aubrey Plaza's character or Mephisto or whatever, right? He's absolutely in on this.
My favorite theory that I've seen, and sorry, actually no, I'll bounce back to that after. Klein, what do you think on that specific note? Has he known he's had these powers the whole time?
I think that the way that this reveal played out, and I'm gonna come back to the song, like the way that this all happened, and we end on the badass like Billie Eilish drop and stuff, like it gave to me initially as it was happening. I thought, this is awakening in him. This is him discovering this again, or maybe for the first time. But the taste that this episode leaves in your mouth is one of like deception, is one of like he's been in control of the situation the whole time. And so it feels like a work. It feels like he has really pulled one over on these witches and was leading them on the whole time. Was the hex, like, not the hex, what do they call it? What's when he tries to say his name?
The sigil.
The sigil.
Is that his doing? Is that a game he's been playing? I don't know, but like I have a feeling that his powers in their entirety they've been sitting there the whole time, and he's just been playing dumb, which works.
I originally thought that the sigil was placed by Wanda, and my favorite theory is, I think I saw it on Twitter, and I apologize to whoever's theory it was because I don't actually remember where it came from, but that with the red burst that we see when Wanda is crushed by Mount Wundagore at the end of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, that in her final moment, she is transferring the consciousness of Billy and Tommy into two other kids who were about to die, and instead saves their life. And Tommy gets sent to wherever Vision is. Teen gets sent to wherever Agatha is. And the sigil is to make sure that Agatha doesn't essentially kill him because she knows who he is. It's to protect him until she falls in love with him, until she wants to care for him. And then the sigil would break so that he's no longer in danger. But now I'm kind of on the train of like, he put that thing on himself. He put that thing on himself to look innocent.
I don't think so. I still think It's what letter does that sigil make?
An M.
It's a big M. It's a big M. It's a big Mephisto spell. He made a deal with the devil. In order to get what he wants, he needs to give the devil what the devil wants. And
What does the devil want?
The devil wants Agatha.
Which
Why?
would be so perfect if
Why?
Rio Vidal was actually Blackheart, because that is the
Still
child
possible.
of the devil.
Still possible. I think when you make a plea, or maybe,
Are you speaking
or
from
two
experience
theories.
here, Damon?
Yeah, maybe. I think two things.
When you plead to the
two
Dark
different
Lord.
paths. When you believe in a Dark Lord, I think one of two things can happen here, essentially. I think either when you get the Darkhold, you're, making a deal with Chthon, but you're also making a deal with Mephisto that when you lose a Darkhold, he has your soul. Or Agatha, in order to get the Darkhold, had to make a deal with Mephisto, or whoever, in a way, and in return, when she lost the Darkhold, her soul was his, and he's coming to claim that.
What does
Think
that do?
either or.
This is totally just theoretical now, and we're here. What does that mean for Wanda then, as somebody who came into possession of the Darkhold?
I think Wanda is also in.
She's tied up in all
control.
this.
I think
Okay.
she's tied up with the devil right now.
Interesting.
I think her soul's with the devil.
Like mother, like son.
What do we think is next? Because Damon, you think the trials are over. You
Yes.
think, like, I know that's super vague, but like, Damon, you think the trials are over. Klein, you don't think necessarily they are. Damon, if there's no more trials, what is going to happen next? Because right now, Agatha and Jen and Lilia are being suffocated to their death.
Yeah, I think we may be getting, and I do not like these, but this is just a theory based on some things that were said amongst the cast. Because at one point, I think someone asked them what's their favorite episode or something, and it just went, Bar Mitzvah. I think we may be getting a Billy Bar
Specifying
Mitzvah.
specifically episode 6, too.
And that's the next one. I think we may be getting a Billy Bar Mitzvah episode, almost like a who he really is and how he got here.
I would love
would
that.
make sense. Of just like our Billy, our Wiccan teens origin episode. We get to see his whole backstory. Is he actually Billy Kaplan, and how did he gain these powers? How did he get the consciousness of Wanda's son? Or is he going to be a literal just multiversal version of Billy, the same kid that we saw in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, even potentially? Who knows? What if that universe had an incursion and he found America Chavez and slipped out to this one at the last second? Who knows? Any of these things are potentially viable. So, Damon, how do you think we get there?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I was reading the comments.
Right now, we got 3 witches underground, and I know we think that like the Bar Mitzvah episode kind of flashback will be next, but where do we still post flashing back? Where do we go from here if there's no more trials? And the 3 right now, not to harp on it, but are sitting here underground with the Witch's Road trying to take them to their deaths.
Yeah, I know. Maybe they die. That'd be kind of wild, wouldn't it? You just they're gone forever. Goodbye.
I feel like it's hard
leaning
to
with
give an answer without specifically theorizing within a spoiler that we know of.
Yeah, sure. So I'll say
and
this.
so,
I think
that's fair.
Klein. I think Klein may be onto something when it comes to after the end of this. I think Klein is Mephisto. I think Klein may be.
There's
onto
no
something
evidence
here
saying that I'm not, is all I'll say to that comment.
that they may be just going to a realm, whether it's the realm with the Divine Mother in it after this or whatever. Hell, let's throw that out there.
Klein, if Lilia and Jen aren't actually dead along with Agatha, do you think it's Teen who rips them out themselves? Do you think it is Rio Vidal who stops him from doing it and puts them back on the road? Or do you think in these final 4 episodes, we are done with the Witch's Road?
No, I think we're ultimately getting back to the Witch's Road. I don't know if it'll be Teen that pulls them out. I believe that this coven is now in purgatory or whatever we're going to call it, hell, what have you. And I think they will meet someone because we are now down some witches. I think we are going to add a character, maybe or two, that will pull them out. I would love a magic. I don't think we're gonna get a magic, but that would be so cool.
Could you imagine?
And it's Anya Taylor-Joy. You know what? Who cares?
Literally,
Let's
yes.
just
If
do
they,
it.
if magic again, it's got to be Anya Taylor-Joy.
Could you imagine?
That would be pretty incredible.
Little
that
purple
under wraps
blizzards there.
somehow.
It's gonna be great, guys.
Over halfway through the series, and this is shaping up to be one of the better series we've gotten from Marvel Television. It has been incredible so far, and at episode 5, I think, was the best one we've gotten so far. In my opinion, it was my favorite. I don't know if we can go objectively best. It was the best, but I think it was a pretty darn good installment. And over an hour into the show, and we still, I think, are breaking records for the amount of viewers that we've had in a live stream at least for a podcast and not an interview. So I want to again thank you so much to everyone who has joined us for the live show, everyone who is going to be watching on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts after the fact. Make sure you subscribe to the Agents of Fandom on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get them. Hit the notification bell and hit that like button for us as well. We want to battle that algorithm. We want to grow this community, reach as many people as possible. So hit that like button, tell your friends, get them to join us for the show next week. There is a chance that next week's show isn't live. We will absolutely still get you a show, but there's a chance next week's show is not live. Both Damon and I will be in New York for New York Comic Con, but we are trying to work something together with our friend Rachel Leishman, who is going to be there in New York with us. She lives there, but we're going to be with Rachel and trying to do a live show or a recorded show, all of us together in person. And so a chance next week will not be live, but we definitely will be going after that as well. We also have episodes of The Penguin after show breakdowns every Monday dropping as well. And let me tell you again, episode 4 is absolutely fire. So make sure you tune in for that one. And we have the Comic Corner as well. Damon, what can the people find on the Comic Corner? Don't just give us the typical, this is what's happening this week. Give us the full breakdown, because we got tons of new people watching us today.
Comic books, baby. Comic books. That's what it all comes down to. Comic books. Do you like Batman? Do you want a really big Batman? Because Absolute Batman just came out, and we'll be talking about it tomorrow, and it is a phenomenal book. So go to your local comic shop, go pick up Absolute Batman, who is a big, jacked man who has no money, essentially, and has to become Batman in a universe that is controlled by Darkseid. It is cool. This whole Absolute universe is cool. We do interviews with some of the comic book writers who also do the other Absolute titles, like Kelly Thompson, who is doing Absolute Wonder Woman, as well as a fan favorite character called Jeff the Landshark. So go check out our interview there. We do tons of other interviews. We do reviews every single week on Thursday. So subscribe, like us. It'll be fun.
How about you, Klein? You got all kinds of podcasts going right now. Where can the people find you on socials? And where can the people find your podcasts?
You can keep up with me everywhere. Instagram, Twitter. I'm at the Klein Felt, TheKleinFelt. And yeah, as you said, host 2 podcasts each and every week. A Star Wars podcast called Reckless Rebellion. Even though right now there's basically the one universe that isn't releasing new things is Star Wars, but we're still having a lot of fun. We just did a great draft last week of movies done by people who worked on Star Wars. So the people had to have one. They also have a Star Wars film on their filmography, and that was a lot of fun. And then my little baby, Controller Club, our video game podcast. Each and every week we come to you with the latest and greatest in games, reviews, interviews, news. We just launched a YouTube channel, so go over to YouTube, find us, subscribe. We're putting full episodes up over there, shorts from the episodes, segments, interviews, best ofs. I'm finding out that the people on the show I host with 2 of my good friends are way more talented than I am, and one of those talents includes video editing. So it's been fantastic. And then thedirect.com. come on over. Universes you love, writing, editing, features, news, interviews, newsletters, all about your favorite franchises.
And in addition to following the Agents of Fandom on YouTube and as a podcast, make sure you also check out agentsoffandom.com because we have so many great articles dropping every day. I myself am doing weekly recaps of Agatha, which I'm going to start writing as soon as we're off this show. The Penguin, Only Murderers in the Building. We have one of our new writers, Georgie Rodriguez, just dropped their first article, a review of La Machina. Joker 2 review, Rings of Power, so much great content dropping every single day. We're going to be at New York Comic-Con next week, and so we'll be dropping interviews and different video content from that as well. So make sure you tune in. And once again, thank you so much to all the people who joined us, all the new viewers. Make sure you join us next week, and we thank you once again. This has been the Agents of Fandom podcast, and we'll see you next time. Peace.